Happy holidays. This is Aki Durzon. I'm a realtor with Innova Realty. And I'm here to give us we'll just say my little Christmas present to everyone. Little market insight on what we're seeing right now and where the market's heading for 2024. So Merry Christmas.
All right, Aki, so how long have you been in the real estate industry, and are you working full-time or part-time in real estate?
So everyone, I'm a full-time realtor, overtime realtor, and I've been working in the real estate industry for 5 years so far.
So you've also been involved in a lot of real estate investments. How many investment transactions have you been involved in?
So far, I think tomorrow we'll be closing our 108th transaction.
Very impressive, and that's just a testament to how you made the top 500 realtor list in Utah. What did it take to accomplish this?
I just say, almost all my work has been really referral based only. And I think just treating all your customers, all your clients with respect, being upfront, and then also knowing how to negotiate in the real estate transaction, making sure that your client wins no matter what. And also focusing with other agents. I think what really sets top producers apart from other agents is their ability to work with other agents as well and make it a win-win transaction for everyone.
What is the current condition of the real estate market right now in Utah?
I'd say we're still definitely a buyer's market. I think interest rates, we're seeing them drop down a little, which is really nice, making it a lot easier for a lot of people to qualify. There's still a lot of homes out there, so there's still enough inventory to hold up those buyers. So we're not seeing it switch into a seller's market yet, but we definitely are seeing more buyers out there. Even with the holidays, even with this changing time, I think we haven't really had a normal winter real estate market for a while now, just because of how the market and the interest rates have been changing. So I definitely say we're a buyer's market. Right now is a really good time for buyers to get what they want, not be pressured in a transaction, not sacrifice important parts of the transaction, which we'll get into later.
Perfect. And as a follow-up question, where do you think the market's headed as we approach the beginning of 2024 and both the end of 2024?
I think we're definitely going to see a lot more activity, especially on the buyer front. Right now, interest rates have dropped at least a point. They're continuing dropping. We're heading into an election year, and so we should start seeing interest rates drop a little bit more, as has been a pattern in almost all the election years. And so we're going to definitely see this influx of buyers coming into the market, especially as spring rolls around. And then we should start seeing, as interest rates drop lower and there's more buyers out there, we'll start seeing inventory tighten up a little bit, which will eventually lead to a seller's market, which we'll get into a little later as well.
What are some market insights that you can share?
Actually, funny story, I was actually this morning talking to one of my buddies who's one of the top appraisers in Utah. And it's really nice because I can get an inside scoop of not only what's out there, but actually what is going under contract. What is he seeing? What amount are buyers asking for in closing costs? What are they getting? Right now, we're still definitely seeing buyers at the advantage here. They're getting the closing costs they need. They're getting probably between 1.5% to 3% in closing costs. That's a very common trend. We're still seeing these rate buy downs happening. Even as rates are lowering, people are still wanting to get accustomed to that interest rate. And we'll go over rate buy downs in another time. And so I think what we're seeing, the market insights, I'd say right now is still a great time for a buyer to be out here. We're still in a buyer's market, and we should definitely take advantage of that.
Excellent. And getting into buying a home, some common questions we have are, what are 3 pieces of advice for home buyers coming into 2024?
I'd say a lot of home buyers are very interested, especially first-time home buyers are always interested in these no down, these programs out that are able to help people. My biggest advice, sort of like Utah Housing or any of these other programs, my biggest advice for buyers is to start saving now. Find out how you can start budgeting to have money to buy a home. No matter what you can bring, it's always going to be more beneficial towards your monthly payment, towards your financial stress in general, the more you can put towards, now you don't have to put a ton of money towards it, but the more you can be prepared, the more better off as a buyer you will be able to, and the better off you will be able to be in negotiating in the real estate transaction. And so as you hear money is king, you don't need to buy your homes in cash or anything like that. But I would definitely suggest starting now and starting saving, because we are going to see interest rates lowering in this coming year, and right now is the time to start preparing. My other suggestion would be start the pre-qualification now. If you're thinking of buying in 3 months, if you're thinking of buying tomorrow, if you're thinking of buying in 6 months or 9 months, start the pre-qualification now. I have helped so many people, and it's sad sometimes when we can't get what they deserve and what we could have gotten them had we have planned ahead, and had we have prepared 3 months, 6 months, 9 months ahead of time, gotten their credit to where it needs to be, and helped them be at that best they can be buyer standpoint, so we can present their offer and we can make sure they win no matter what.
How can someone save money when buying a home?
This is actually a great question. I think almost a week ago, I was in someone's home, and at that time the interest rates were about 4%. They had to go with a program that actually had them at 6%. But they were saying, oh my goodness, I wish we could have just stayed renting. And it was at that point where I could teach them a little bit about why buy real estate. The fact is that their home at the very end, where they're planning on selling it soon, and we calculated they're gonna come home with almost $180,000 in equity that they can use. The money you invest, your monthly principal in your payment, will come back to you in the end. It is paying down your balance, and you will get it in the end when you sell, when you refinance, whatever you decide to do. When you rent, you will never see that money again. Naturally, we all need to start somewhere, so we all need to rent. But when people are able to, I would always suggest finding out how to start small and getting their own place where they have full ownership.
Why should home buyers use a real estate agent when finding a property to buy?
I'd say there's no reason not to. Number one, we all know how this works. Sellers are paid the real estate commission. So you basically get someone with market knowledge, market experience. Well, hopefully you have someone that has a lot of experience in real estate doing all the dirty work for you, looking through the home. When you look for a realtor, you should automatically have someone that has done this before, understands the market, and has experience in all different types of real estate transactions. And what that's going to do for you, buyer, is you'll be protected throughout the whole process. We have heard of horror stories of leaky roofs, bad foundations, all of this, and the buyer has no recourse because they didn't use a realtor. Realtors are trained. We take classes all the time to help us become better, have more market knowledge, and better represent buyers and sellers in this market. And so I see no reason why a buyer shouldn't use a realtor, even in new builds, even in any transaction. You are now protected. And that is the biggest thing. If this is the biggest transaction of your life, I see no reason why you wouldn't use an expert.
Before selling your home, what do you think 3 of the most important factors to consider improving on are?
We'll just go down to the nitty gritty. What will bring your return on investment? That's a really big term you'll hear throughout these series. Return on investment. Whatever, if I put in $1, I want to get $1.50 or $2 back. So what are those things? Flooring, painting, and the big ticket items, of course, finding out how you can spruce up your bathroom and spruce up your kitchens. Those are always the 2 biggest ticket items for anyone. Especially right now we're seeing the market switch towards people are looking for a nice master suite. And so finding out how you can make that open and livable, and also making sure that your colors are what the market is asking for. I think that has huge impact on when you're going to sell, how quickly you're going to sell. Your colors and your room, your bathroom's pink, your other room's yellow. You're really cutting out that majority of the market that you could have if you followed what the current market trends are. And how do you do that? You have to find a realtor who is in the know with those market trends. And we'll get to that later.
With the current market in Utah, how long should someone expect it to take to sell their home?
So I say selling is a very broad term. How do you know if your agent is doing a good job? Is your home under contract? With all the different financing available, assumptions, and all this other stuff we could talk for days about, I think selling is a very broad term. As far as how long is my home sitting on the market, how many times are people actually going out to see it, and am I receiving any offers, and is it now under contract? That is what we're looking for. We're looking for how long does it take us to get into escrow. And so I would say that's your biggest indicator on, instead of, hey, how long is it going to take to sell my home, how long am I looking for to get it under contract? Usually you should be in escrow from a home, I'd say a single family home between $450 to maybe $650 or $700. In my experience, usually our homes usually go under contract within 0 to 2 weeks. I don't see the whole real estate, the whole transaction itself taking more than a month and a half. When you move into luxury, when you're above that $700,000 point, you're probably looking at more exposure time. It takes a little bit longer because you're now cutting out probably 80 to 85% of the market, the actual market that can buy those homes.
Excellent. What factors influence the selling price of a house?
Same things. What are you following those trends? How does your kitchen look? How does your bathroom look? Those big ticket items. Is your paint 3 different colors as you walk down the hallway? Are you going to see 3 different tones and shades? Or are you going to see a continuity? Are you going to see what the market is asking for? If you have what the market is asking for, you're naturally going to sell your home. The biggest important thing would be making sure your product is what people are looking for. The last thing going on with that, a lot of people, I know how this is, we all love our home. We all think our home is the most beautiful home. And really, like, it is the place where you grow your family. It is the most amazing place for you. However, follow what the market says. I see too many times where people don't listen to the market, where their homes just sit and stay there on the market because they overvalue or overappraise their homes.
Excellent. As a real estate agent, negotiation is obviously a very important skill for you to have. What's your approach to negotiating deals, and can you share a success story where your negotiation skills made a significant impact?
This is the story. It was yesterday. There's a investment property that will be closing on this Friday. They didn't even want to close until this year was over. They didn't want to go under contract until Saturday. They already had multiple offers, and I called the agent up and I presented saying, we'll let your client stay in the home until 2.5 weeks or after the end of the year, so they don't have to move out over Christmas. But we want to buy it now. We're going to use our earnest money tactic, which we'll talk about in another thing about how to negotiate through the real estate purchase contract. We'll make sure that we're not asking for things, especially when you're dealing with multiple offers. You have to appeal to the other side. Knowing where to appeal, where not to sacrifice. For example, I didn't have to raise my price to be more appealing to the seller. I didn't have to offer overprice. Where I know there are other offers way above their asking price, I don't need to do that because I know how to negotiate. In the end, we got the offer at asking price. We didn't have to go over. We just knew how to use the real estate purchase contract. And if you want more information, you could totally call me up and we could talk a little bit more about the details with that.
Could you provide an example of creative financing solutions you've used before to close a deal successfully?
I think any part of real estate is finding out first and foremost, can this be assumed? Are they willing to do seller finance? Why would I want to buy a home or have my buyers buy a home with a 7% $4,000 payment instead of with their 4% that the seller has? Why are we giving money? Not anything against banks or mortgages or anything like that. I'm very happy to use them, love using them. But why are we giving money to all these banks when we can keep it in between us and use seller finance? That will be another thing. So creative financing all the time. Can I assume? Can I get a second loan somewhere else? Creative financing with fix and flip. Are there ways so I don't have to bring in money? I'm about to close a deal for one of my own investment properties with no down. I don't have to bring a cent to closing. How is that possible? It's creative financing. Now, it's not as easy as it sounds, how I'm probably making it sound. You have to have an agent that knows what they're doing. You have to find the right deal, but when the right deal presents itself, and when you can do that, definitely look for creative financing and look for a way around it. Always doesn't have to be a traditional mortgage, a traditional loan, the 7% or whatever the interest rate. You can play around so much, and the sad thing is agents aren't educated, or they don't educate sellers about the benefits.
Well, it sounds like you're very educated with real estate and exactly how the process works. What is your approach to working with first-time home buyers, and how do you educate them about the process?
First and foremost is I love to be upfront. Like we talked about at the beginning, I try to help them understand that there are programs out there to help anybody, but the more money you save, and the more you prepare for this biggest purchase of your life so far, the better off you will be in the end when we give you the keys. The less stress you will have, the less all these programs look really good, but they usually have a catch-22 behind it, which affects your mortgage payment, has higher interest. There's never this cut perfect thing there are grants and stuff out there, but there never is, hey, we're gonna give you free money, don't worry about it. The more you can save, the more you can prepare, the better off you'll be. And then next, the advice I give and what I help them do is I walk them through the process ahead of time. When you're in the real estate transaction, it can be 12 days to 21 days to 30 days, whatever it is, but it's a very high-paced transaction. There's deadlines you need to meet, and understanding that before you sign the papers is the most important. So any buyer that I take on, I probably sit down with them for a good amount of time and we do a buyer consultation so they understand what they're going into. They don't get into this transaction where they have to give money, give deposits, go through the loan, go check out the home, and do all this without even knowing what's next. And so I think the most important thing is helping them stay informed beforehand and during the process.
Excellent. So a lot of people hear that they need to build their credit score up and maintain a good credit score, but why is a good credit score important?
Credit is key. The finance world revolves around credit. Who's going to lend to you if you never pay back? That is the biggest thing with credit, is they have to know that you are going to pay back your loan, give back the money that you owe, and do it on time. The more you can show that, the better, the less risk you'll present to any lender, be it fix and flip, be it creative financing, be it traditional financing. When you can show that you have good credit, the financial world opens up to you. Instead of saying, oh, we can't lend to you or anything like that, they want to, and then you put yourself at a point where you're the king of negotiations instead of begging someone to take you on. And that's the biggest thing is, well, credit is king. It's just simple. The better you can get your credit, the more you can show to banks that you're the best buyer out there, the less they're gonna tack you on with fees, raise your interest rate, the less they're gonna make life harder for you, you could say.
What exactly are FHA loans, and what are the benefits associated with them?
I want to debunk a myth. FHA loans are not first-time homebuyer loans. They are federal home administration loans. They are ran by the government. They are government lending. It is money out there to help people, usually first-time homebuyers. However, you do not need to be a first-time homebuyer to have an FHA. Now, what happens with FHA is one thing we'll talk about. We'll go in a little bit deeper into this later on in another podcast. We'll talk about mortgage insurance. Again, the more money you bring, the less risk you are to the bank. The better credit you have, the less risk you are to the bank. So the more money you bring, and if you can qualify into different programs like conventional or other stuff, the less mortgage insurance or this additional insurance banks tack on top of your mortgage payment due to the fact that you are a risk to them and you are a risk to their investment of money into your home. And so normally it is really great, especially in a buyer's market, if you can get an FHA loan because you don't have to bring as much money. Yes, your payment might be a little higher due to that mortgage insurance, but you can get in with less money. And that's why I always say, you're gonna hear me all the time, the more you save, the better off you'll be.
How do you know what is a good investment and which investments you should skip?
I always say in the end, it has to feel good, but feelings aren't everything. The numbers need to make sense. If you're looking at a deal and you don't know what to look for, you're in big trouble. I have helped countless people in this. I can't even count the number of people I've helped where we're just helping them scrape by because they didn't use a realtor, or they used a realtor that was looking only out for himself and his financial gain just to get them in a house and get some money, and he wasn't looking to help the person throughout the process, or wasn't looking to make sure they would be protected. And so I think the biggest thing when you're looking at an investment is making sure the numbers make sense, knowing what to look for. We'll do another podcast on just fix and flip, which I like to call fix and remodels, because I don't think we are just flipping random homes. We really want to make sure these are quality remodels for people, and how to make sure that our margins and our numbers make sense. Going back to what we said in the beginning, making sure our ROI, whatever dollar we put in, we're gonna make $1.50 out. So if I invest $20,000 in this kitchen, it better give me a $30,000 return, or else it's not worth changing. I think knowing how to do that and understanding those numbers and understanding how it all works together is crucial. How do I know personally? I have my own ratios and I run each deal, and then on top of that, due to appraisal experience I've had in the past, I run my own mini appraisal, you could say, and actually understand, hey, what do I need to do to take this home to make it to those comparables, to make sure it sells. All my homes, before I sell them on the market, are pre-appraised, and then I also get an appraisal during the process to verify, hey, I'm on course. And maybe that's extra, but what I try to do is I try to take out the risk in this, well, you could say sometimes people call it a risky business. And so how to minimize risk for me, how to minimize risk for my clients.
Excellent. So you touched on it before, just barely, but can you elaborate on how exactly you assist clients when evaluating the long-term potential of investment properties?
The biggest thing in long-term is realizing that any cash flow is money in your pocket. If it's 100, if it's 300, if it's 3,000, that is still money in your pocket. And I would say the most successful people in real estate that I know understand that I don't need to make $3,000 per home, per long-term investment, fix and hold, or whatever you buy in cash flow a month. I have someone paying off that investment, and that investment is continually appreciating. And if it's giving me $100, that's $1,200 that I really didn't need to work for at the end of the year. If it's giving me $300, that's $3,600 at the end of the year. That's a nice work bonus. I think understanding that, hey, any property is worth it if I can get to that cash flow margin, or if I can get it paid, if I can break even, I have a place that's paying for itself, and if I continue with the rents and I know what I'm doing, it will pay itself off and it will appreciate over time. So you have that cash flow and you have that appreciation. That's why it's so nice. Now, there are properties, yes, I've worked with a lot of people. Some properties, they brought $4,000 or $4,200 cash flow a month, or $1,000 or $2,000 cash flow. And those are really nice. Those are those golden gems. But understanding that fix and hold, or these long-term investments, are long-term investments, and your money will come over time.
Talking about investing again, what advice would you give to first-time investors that are looking to get started?
Do a consultation with me. No, I'm just kidding. I would definitely say, definitely come talk to me. But if you're looking for that nickel of advice or anything like that, understanding margins and understanding that there are ways to do it without the astronomical number of dollars that you have in your mind right now. My first investment, my first investment was a home. So I think it was 3% of the purchase price or whatever. And that was the start. My first flip, I think, was only $30,000. Finding out how to move money around, save, and it doesn't take this multi-millionaire person to buy these homes. These are average working people that know how to manage their finances and are willing to take that risk. And with me, we always try to minimize that risk, but still inherit that risk involved in it and move forward. Take it step by step and not try to overwhelm yourself either. That's why I always say it's better to start with a rental, then maybe move to fix and flip once you understand how this goes. And so definitely if you're thinking about investing or heard of your brother or whoever out there that does this, definitely come, let's sit down, let's talk, and let's see if you're ready first. And if you're ready, let's make calculated steps to make it work. Again, you don't need to have millions of dollars to be a real estate investor. It's average people like you and me that are out there doing it. Well, that concludes everything. Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year's. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll have some more coming up soon. Take care.